let me give an introduction of yourself.
Sure, sure.
Mr. Sandeep Kochar is an alumnus of IIM Bangalore who loves using storytelling for transformation and change. His Wabi Sabi storytelling leadership series has radically improved personal and professional lives. He has 170 million views on the stories he shares on LinkedIn and 4 lakh odd followers. That's a huge number of followers. Wonderful, Mr. Kochar. We would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sagarika. And I think what I'll do is I'll start with my story. I think that's the best way to kind of begin it. So I worked for around 15 odd years, and then one day I started to question why am I doing what I'm doing. So I quit my job, and I tried a few things which didn't work out. So after kind of trying for 2.5 years, and things were not working out, and I tried a few startups. I became a professor for some time. I was a teacher. Then I also started to consult. I started to freelance. I did a lot of things, and none of those things worked. So eventually I set up this firm, which I'm running right now, called Blue Minds. And the interesting thing that happened was that as we started to kind of do work, I started to kind of think about, okay, what should I be really doing? I think that existential question we all ask ourselves, that what is our purpose of our life and why are we doing what we are doing? So I think since childhood I've been living with that question. And during my childhood time I used to write a lot. So I used to be a poet, and I used to write, and I had my little diary like everybody has, right? So one day I was like very frustrated with all what was happening in my life, and I was sitting in my living room and I was having my phone in my hand, and I was like questioning, okay, what should I be doing in my life? And that's the time when I just thought, okay, why don't I just go to what I really like to do in my childhood? So I didn't know anything else other than writing. So I said, okay, let me start writing. So I thought of which platform to choose to write, and I did not know much that time. So I chose Facebook first. I tried writing there, but it didn't work very well. So then I thought, okay, let me try on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a professional platform, right? So then I thought, okay, what should I be writing? Maybe I'll just write about all my failures and whatever I've been doing all wrong. And that's where the journey really started. I just started to write, and I started to enjoy that process of writing.
But I read your LinkedIn profile. Which says you are telling your story through your profile, where you say that I was nobody to somebody.
Yes.
And with that somebody was not myself. Then I moved from somebody to nobody, and finally from nobody to somebody, the true myself. Yes. That was wonderful. And then that kind of registered in my mind why you have so many views and so many followers, because I felt one word I would like to describe for you is candid. You are very authentic and candid about your life.
Yeah. So I think that's where I thought that maybe, on LinkedIn, for example, you see these profiles which are so perfect, right? So I thought, okay, why don't I create a profile which is more realistic and which really paints the true story? Because everybody talks about their achievements, what they've achieved in their lives, but they don't talk about what really happened behind that. So I kind of, I just started to write, and I started writing about how I feel, what goofs I've done, and what things I went wrong with, and slowly people started to kind of enjoy what I was writing. Maybe the timing was also right, because this was 2016 when LinkedIn really was starting off with the influencers on LinkedIn, and storytelling was like really starting that time. So I think I started to write, and I started to get traction, but I started to enjoy the process of writing. And as I wrote more, I started to get more responses. I remember one comment I saw after a month of writing. Somebody wrote, you are a storyteller. So I didn't know what a storyteller is. I mean, an engineer, and after that, if you do an MBA, you can never become a storyteller because you kind of only build your life on logic. So that's where it really started off. And then people started to write their stories to me. I remember a lady wrote to me how she was a 40-year-old, and she had a 10-year-old kid. And she told me that her mother beats her up, and physically beats her up. And I was like really shocked to kind of hear that. And I started then realize that, hey, one is that there is a lot of pain in this world, and second is people are going through times, and more importantly, everybody needs an outlet, and there is no outlet available. So that's when I started to write more about my own self, my own struggles, and my insecurities. Basically around money, about succeeding. So fear and greed really drive most of us, right? And so I started to write about that. One girl wrote to me, I think in my early days of writing, where she shared how her brother was, physically abusing her, and she went and told this to her parents, and the parents actually scolded her, and that really made me think that what is really happening in the world is not what we see. So what we see on social media is really a hogwash. And after that, I just started to really enjoy the process of writing and communicating. So people started to write their stories, and I would just maybe just become their voice in some ways. I became a medium of communicating stories to them. I was also going through my own fears because I wasn't doing very well, and I was going through my own struggle in terms of I had quit my job, almost been 2.5 years by then, and nothing was really working out. My own family, they started thinking, what has happened to this guy? He was doing so well in his life, and he's quit his job, and what is he trying to do? So I remember one day there was a neighbor who came in and who asked me, what do you do? I mean, I see you every day at home. And I used to sit in my living room and, write. So that's all I used to do. So I started off with few hours a day, and then I started to write maybe around 10, 12 hours a day at one point, and maybe even more than that. And this neighbor of mine, he came and I said, I write stories. So he said, but do you make money out of it? So I said, no, I don't make money. She said, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. And I think a lot of people, you would tell me that as well, that you write some stuff, or what really is the motive of it, and what are you trying to do? But I never thought of it from that way. I thought, okay, am I enjoying it or not? And am I continuing to move in that direction? After around 2-3 months of writing, I realized one day, I just counted and I realized I was hitting 2 million views a month. So that's when I realized that the stories that I'm writing are resonating with people, and it is making them think, it is making them reflect, and something is happening. People started to write to me that, the stories that I write is transforming them in some way. And I think the whole process of healing is also, storytelling is also a beautiful tool for healing. And I think Marianne spoke about it. But really, it's also about, the narrative that you have inside you, right? Eventually, when we go through childhood, we come up with a lot of fears, insecurities, and we are not able to really get over them. And so really the story begins with us. The story that we tell ourselves every day is our story of life, right? And if that story is that, so for example, I used to have this narrative in my head all the time. I used to find faults, with everything around me. For example, something is not lying properly, so I would find faults. I would find faults with people around me I would work with. Now, after many years, I realized that the reason why I would find faults was very, very interesting, because basically I was just diverting attention. When you find faults with, let's say, the audio, the video, I mean, basically you're just diverting the attention of the person from the core problem, because the problem is not there. The problem is within. And I think that's where we don't put enough time and effort and spend time with ourselves. So the journey of writing more and more, it also made me introspect. And I think I started to build a relationship with myself, which, when you're working in a job, you just go and do stuff just for money. Basically there's no such motive, purpose. And even though people talk about careers and all of that, but eventually we just do it for the sake of doing it. And that's what I did for almost 15 years before I realized that, okay, why am I doing it? So that's when it started. And as the story started to do well, I started to get a lot of invites and invitations for talks. And, slowly it started to really build up. And that's when I realized, hey, I have a beautiful opportunity to make a difference. So then I started to kind of tour different places, and I covered almost 100 odd colleges in the last 3.5 years now that I've been writing. And I started to spread storytelling in various colleges, universities, and then started to do corporate. So we had a firm which was into consulting. So, corporate started approaching me and started to do leadership work and storytelling work. Now, as we did it, we realized that storytelling can be applied anywhere. So, for example, storytelling can be applied in personal branding. It can be applied in internal employer branding. It can be applied in sales. It can be applied in marketing. It can be applied as as a speaker before said, in data storytelling. And so that's how the journey continued. But storytelling, there are a few aspects of storytelling which I think we've not covered so far. So I'll kind of share a little bit around that. The first part is the observation bit. How closely you observe things around you. Are you really noticing people's behavior? Why do they do what they do? So let me give you an example. For example, anger, right? Anger is an emotion, and you must have seen people get angry. Now, why do people get angry earlier? And a lot of people, give different answers, and maybe you guys can put it on the chat as well if anybody, why do you think people get angry? Anybody wants to put, you can just put it in the chat, and I can have a look at it as well. So now, so difficult concepts can actually be simplified through storytelling. Now, anger, for example, is basically an emotion that you feel, but it's really a manifestation. So somebody saying no control, hence anger.
No control and fear.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Sahil. Actually, anger comes from loss of control. Now, a lot of us don't, and there's a second reason for anger. It comes through loss of not getting enough love. So in personal relationships, it comes because of that, and in professional relationships, it comes because of loss of control. And so that's one part of it. Now, if you look at it, the story is really based on, and if you go back to these emotions, the deepest emotions of fears, insecurities, they really go back to childhood. Like, as a child, when I was brought up, I was told not to do these things, not to do those things. And I just grew up with that narrative of this is not right, that is not right, this is good. So having very strong notions of rights and wrongs, and I started becoming more critical. And then as I kind of got into engineering and working, the critical thinking started to get so much so that I started to find faults in other people. And it was very convenient because I was actually diverting attention from the rest of the world. Now, I'll also share a little bit around empathy, which is very important for storytelling. Empathy means that how do you understand what is this, audience wanting to kind of see. Storytelling is a journey you're taking somebody on. It's like that small kid who gives your little finger, gives you the little finger to kind of take him or her somewhere, right? And that's what you do as a storyteller. Now, if you look at, when you're telling a story, you're actually taking a person on a journey. Now, the journey is a journey of emotions, really. Right now, empathy is very important because you should understand, okay, what is the story, your audience, what are they really going through? For example, when we look at people who are, let's say, in corporates also, now corporate storytelling, for example, is very different from the storytelling we do on the B2C side, because there it's about numbers and they want to hear hard facts and all of that, right? So personal branding comes in big time there because they want to build their brand, in corporates. They want to look at, okay, how can you create a story out of it? Whereas on the other side, the B2C side of the story, which is people, storytelling is very differently used, where you can use for self-transformation. So we use storytelling for transforming people and businesses. Now, empathy is a very interesting thing. So for example, when you are, it's the third person perspective, really. So when I was working, I remember my first job, and I had gone into this first day. I was just going to work, and we were called for a meeting. Now, as we went into the meeting room, we realized that, I saw that people were taking their notebooks, and also I also took one along with me. And as the meeting progressed, I started to see, somebody writing down, okay, actions and all of that. The strange thing that happened was that all the actions that were being written, none of the actions were being assigned to anybody who was in the room. So it was a very interesting thing for me, and I was observing, and then I also realized that it was very convenient. So I call it the third person perspective, which basically means that you're abdicating responsibility very easily because you're giving it to somebody who's not there around. So, and they were also talking about, okay, this has not been done because of this person who's outside the room. So the moment we start talking about the weather, all the
instead of Mr. Kocher, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. So the moment we start talking about the weather and things which are not in our control, we're actually abdicating responsibility. Now, that empathy you need to have as a storyteller in terms of understanding what are people going through and why are people doing what they're doing, right? The other bit is about personal branding, is really about brand. Is the way I look at brand is very simple, is like bring a new dimension. So BRAND, bring a new dimension. Now, each one of us is unique. Now, most of us don't know what we are good at. And some of us maybe know what we love to do, but we don't know if we'll be good at it or not. So eventually you need to find what you are ideally good at and what you love to do. And that's what, and maybe the market demands for that. And that's how you build that whole, whole credibility around that brand, which is really what is unique about you. And then you create a story around that and you take that story out. And that's what personal branding is about. It's about really understanding your own self better. It is not about, so there's a lot of people who talk about fake it to make it, right? But really, if you don't have that stuff within you, you can't sustain for very long. You need to have that, and it has to be authentic, and only then will somebody connect to that story. So I think that is very important when you're building your personal brand, whether it's on social media, LinkedIn, or any other. So there's authenticity is very important. The other last part I'll talk about intent versus impact, and maybe I'll share a short story to kind of share the difference. Now, it's a plane ride that we go on, right? When we start off, let's say there's a perfect takeoff, and as we go in, we get some very good food, and we really are enjoying having good neighbors and having a good time. So everything is going really right. But when the plane starts to land at the end of the flight, that's when, let's say, suppose the pilot gives you a very bumpy landing. Now, will you remember the takeoff or the food, or you'll remember the bumpy ride at the end? So so you will definitely remember the bad landing where your heart came out in your mouth. And that is the difference between the intent versus impact. Now, which basically means that intent is not as important as impact. Now this means that you must have noticed that in corporates, for example, there are people with evil intent, but they create good impact. So eventually all that matters is impact. Now this is very contentious also, because a lot of people think that, okay, if somebody has evil intent, how can he do that? But that is definitely possible. That if you, for example, let's say you have, I mean, in our childhood, now we had teachers who used to get after us to kind of really study hard, right? Now they could have had evil intent or good intent, but the impact was that, okay, we had to study, right? So eventually, I think the impact is what is more important in storytelling than the intent. It's the landing. It's the landing of the story, what you make people feel, and how people feel at the end of it. Empathy is just like the Hansel and Gretel story. So I'll just maybe end off with that. If you remember the Hansel Gretel story, where they're going into the forest, and Hansel is dropping those breadcrumbs, right? That he'll find the way back, right? They'll find the way back. Now, we all know that those breadcrumbs will be eaten up by birds or animals or whatever, right? They won't remain. So my question to all of you is that, why do you think Hansel dropped those breadcrumbs? And you can put it in the chat. And
right. I think you'll need to stop, Mr. Kochhar.
Sure.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll just give you the answer to that. I mean, while
yes,
so basically the breadcrumbs were dropped not by Hansel. Actually, it was dropped by the author, because so that the reader knows that they will find their way back.
Okay, wonderful, very insightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Kochhar.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful share.
Any questions? Yeah.
I think we don't have. Okay, we'll take one question from Mr. Sahil Khan. Thank you, Mr. Sahil Khan. How did you figure out your audience when you started writing?
No,
who would your audience be now?
So I used to write initially for myself, and then over time I figured out that it's working, and then I started to segment my audience and understand, okay, I realized that whatever I was going through is what people go through. We all go through the same fears, insecurities, doubts, and so it's very easy. If I can feel my own emotions really well and articulate them, then it becomes very easy to relate to an audience.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Kochhar.